welcome back to the NBC Network, the Sales World channel, the Podcasters channel, with your host, Hurricane H. As you hear the Sales World channel, you know we're going to talk sales and business and enterprise and leadership and success, hurdles, you name it. We have it today because my guest is a guru on this business, level of sales and entrepreneur. I mean, creative. He's done quite a bit. He started a few things early on, and he's the CEO of Global Sales. I mean, we got to talk about. We're gonna have fun. We have a treat today. So for those of you who are into the sales world, this is exactly a show that you will not miss. All right. So with me, I have Evan Samet. Evan, how you doing, man?
Hey, thank you for that introduction. That was I could hire you as a hype man. That was I'm now
Well,
I'm fired. Not that I wasn't fired up before, but now I'm
uh,
really fired up. I'm ready for some walkout music now. Maybe a UFC fight or something. Like I'm fired up now.
well,
Thanks for having me.
no worries, Evan. Well, salespeople. I mean, we kind of like this is like a motivation thing for us. Like when you get to talk, shop. This is. I mean, I do a lot of different topics and I do a lot of shows, but when it comes to sales, that's like just like something 2D. Like I have a chromosome extra, piece in there that
It's
says
funny.
so.
We were talking before we were recording too, and it was an introduction, and then we started talking about sales, and then we're just free flowing, and I don't know if we're rolling. I mean, it's in both of our DNAs, which is why I'm excited to be here and talk with you. I mean, we could have done 30 minutes before we even hit the record button. So, it'll be great to talk. Excuse me, to discuss what we even talked about before we started recording, and mix in some new topics. So I'm super excited to get started. And as I said, thanks for having me on.
Oh, listen, thank you for being on and also for sharing, your expertise because, sales is something that no one can do without. Period and out. I mean, I don't care who's watching or listening right now. You are in sales, whether you like it or not. You are interacting with sales transactions every single day. You talk to someone like I love what you said. We just hit it off, and that's really what sales is. It's just a discussion. I mean, there's psychology, there's an art, there's a science to it, there's all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it takes a transaction, an exchange of idea against something else, another idea, another service, another product. But that's all there is. So it is part of life, and it's psychology 101. It does impact health. It does impact a lot of things. It impacts the world. I mean, everything is revolving around it. Now, Ivan, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I think when people talk about sales, everyone is so focused on business. Like you think, okay,
Mm-hmm.
sales is just business related, but it's where do you want to go out to eat tonight? What do you want to buy at the grocery store? What do you want to cook? And it's low. I guess it's low stake sales, but it is sales. Do you want to? Where do you want to go shopping? Do you want to go to Whole Foods? Do you want to go to Trader Joe's? Or do you want to buy organic? Do you not want to buy and everything is sales, and everyone just thinks of it in such a big business sense, but every part of your day is sales. If you're listening to an advertisement, they're trying to sell you something. If you're choosing between Netflix and Hulu on what to subscribe for, they're trying to sell you something. Everything in your daily life, every decision is sales. Do you drink bottled water? Do you drink tap water, and why? So everything that goes on is sales. And so to understand the business side, the psychology part of it, there's so many different parts of it.
Oh, you're right, and frankly, I mean, relationships are sales. I mean, politicians, politics is sales. Medicine is sales. Everybody sells, and pharma is sales. I mean, everything is for sale, folks. And someone's like, "Well, I'm not for sale." You'll be surprised. You always trade it. You trade in stuff. I'm not talking you physically, folks. But we're talking about the idea of things that you do. Sometimes you sell in or sell out. Things. Even your, that people that sell their soul.
Yeah,
And we don't want to
right.
even go there, but you know what I mean, folks. It's a transaction that is almost necessary as part of life. Religion is sales. I mean, you name it, everything is sales. I mean, and again, I love what you said. We always think sales is the business sales, like sales numbers growth, right? So business development, which one concept opens up to more concepts. You're talking about marketing, that's the bigger piece, right? But at the end of the day, doesn't matter a small transaction. If you're talking to your kids, you're selling. If your kids are talking to you, My kids come to me, Dad. Let's talk. Oh, that's it. There's a pitch. you know,
Hey,
you know.
Dad, I want chocolate for dinner tonight.
But you know, I mean, there was always a transaction going. Your friend is talking to you. You know, you talk to someone randomly. They're gonna pitch you something or an idea or a thought or something, and they're gonna convince you why that thought is relevant, and that's opinion. And then you have the same, and then you're gonna go back. So that's simple as that. But so before we go into like the deep core discussion here, Evan, a little bit about yourself because you do have quite a bit. I did a little introduction, but it's not enough, to really say who is Evan. So let's talk about you and your story.
So I started my first business selling or giving tennis lessons, excuse me, and booking private courts in my area and advertising and trying to meet people in my local town in New Jersey and just running a little self-serve tennis lesson business. Started when I was 13, taught me a lot about business, taught me a lot about being on time, which is huge in sales and just basically any business, especially because I was too young to even drive myself. So to have to coordinate a ride from a parent to then meet up to give a lesson and a ride or a walk home, and did that all throughout high school. And then when I was in college, when I was 19, I was a sophomore. I really saw EDM and house music starting to really take over college campuses, and the need for people to want to be at live events really started with Avicii. And at that time, Swedish House Mafia announced their final four, supposed to be their final four shows ever, three at the Barclay Center and one at Madison Square Garden. And foolishly, but not foolishly, I knew what was going on, but I didn't have the analytics. But having my nose to the ground, I invested 98% of my capital and bought as many tickets as I could to the final Swedish House Mafia four shows. And I took the $6,000 I invested and turned it into over $20,000. And I was around college just as an intramural ref and said, okay, this is much more lucrative and much more fulfilling and rewarding than what I was doing. So I started then, buying tickets to different events. Beyonce had just played the Super Bowl halftime show. Bon Jovi was, picking up his tour. So it really started learning the ins and outs of the concert business and the season ticket sporting business, and just buying tickets to, what I thought were popular events and really basing it off the need for people to want to be there live. I mean, social media was blowing up at this time, and you know, Snapchat and wanting to be there and video sharing. So just started, without much knowledge in the concert and sporting entertainment business, just launched the Ticket Insider and ran that company successfully for 5 years before I had an exit opportunity, which came in 2018. And then right at that time, 4 to 5 months later, I started with a key investment group as one of the very, very first employees at the company. And we've now, helped grow that company 10x employees, over 10x sales growth, and, have become the powerhouse company we are today.
There's quite a bit in there. So let me go back to the source. So first things first, it seems that you were meant for entrepreneurship. I mean, it was in your DNA. I mean, talking about DNA business. At that age, at 13, most of the kids are not thinking about how to make money, and then giving courses and teaching and doing stuff. They're thinking about just how much time I'm gonna put on a game show, or like, go on a game, or on a console and just binge a little bit of a few I don't know, Halos or Fortnites or whatever, right? So that was not you, and you might have done that part, but what the fact is, you were autonomous, you were innovative, you were entrepreneur, by default. You wanted something. It's funny, as you said, that how it taught you a lot of things and want to be in on time. And I mean, listen, I can tell you, my kids are not on time. As much as I'd like them to be, it doesn't work that way. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But the fact is, that age, you don't really think these things, but you did, and you planned correctly, and you had something to offer, because I mean, you were good in what you did. That's even on its own something that you've learned early on, and you practiced well and you became good at it and you were able to even teach it. And that's in itself something else because everybody that knows business in general and even live, you have to learn something that you can actually provide in order for you to get value, for you and others, right? And ultimately you did that at an early age, which basically that was already a drive in you. And you did that. Now in college, and you also saw the opportunity. There was an opportunity in the tennis teaching, and you kind of like, "Ooh, I'm going to do this." And then as you went to college, you just evolved to the next one. And frankly, in college, you're right, games and concerts is big stuff, right? And you're like, "Wow, this might be something here." And again, you
Well, it's
test that.
funny, yeah.
You
Yeah,
did it.
sorry to cut you. Like you said, in high school, I thought about learning, and one thing my mother always taught me was just to be polite to people. And I wasn't the worst student, but I wasn't the best student. But I always just got by. I held the door open for people. I asked people how they were doing, and it really goes a long way in sales and in everything. People always want to work with people they like. It's very natural. You go to your local restaurant, and why do you go? The food's probably as good as the other 10 restaurants that are on the block, but you like the owner, you like the service, you like to interact with people who you like and are personally and are friendly. So, I learned that early on in business. Was I the best tennis player in my town? Definitely not. But I was always on time. One thing I learned from that is everything that you can control, you have to be on top of. You can control whether or not you say good morning, good afternoon. You can control to a 99% extent if you're on time. So if you can get those things out of the way, emailing someone back right away, not making someone wait. Obviously there's being on your phone too much, but if someone texts you, you get back to them within a reasonable time. Something that you can control goes a long way in business that will make people want to work with you regardless of what your price is. You can charge maybe a couple dollars more than the next person because the people want to work with you. And no matter what business you're in, whether I've been in the food business, I've been in the concert business, I've been in some social media marketing businesses when you're going to pitch different clients. If you're nice and you respect people and you're friendly and you're on all these things I just said, it goes so far that I'm not saying that the work is secondary because it's not, but you have such a leg up that again you can name your price and it's invaluable. And those are things that really, because my mother taught me those things so young, even at 13, at 19 when I started my second business, I felt like I was already 60% through. I just had to execute on my business plan.
Well, that thank you for bringing that up because the idea of is being nice and being, very, I guess, personable. People enjoy your presence and to do stuff. They prefer to deal with you than maybe someone who's kind of like, you know, not really. And I'm not talking about charm and stuff. That also helps, but I'm talking about more like just personality. You have an open, you're. It's a. I would like to talk to you. I mean, like you feel that. And by the way, that's energy that you can feel. And specifically, it says now we talked earlier about the idea that sales is everybody and we do it every day, but not everybody thrives in sales as a profession because not everybody's got those characteristics. And that's when you become, it takes a certain individual type to be actually a salesperson and really make a living out of that because the pitching and the stuff takes a lot of stuff. Besides learning the tricks and the trade and the science and the art of sales, the person itself is is the core thing. If you suck, I mean, you go to a store, there are two, salespeople. One really you don't get along, you don't feel, and the other one you feel. I forgot there was a movie with Steven Seagal, I think, and DMX, and there was a scene where DMX is going to buy a car, and so he walks in, and this dude, I mean, there's some racial stuff in that piece, but the idea is that this dude kind of was a little too, I guess, pompous, and he didn't see, the guy DMX, who was actually a rich, entrepreneur, with the value that he could even afford the car. And then the other dude, who was, the less, aggressive, but he was a lot more pleasant, wound up getting the deal. And that scene actually I've used in trainings. Even when you look at it visually, like, oh, shit, this is what it's supposed to happen. Don't be too aggressive. Don't assume and things like that. And that's again, personality is everything. You go to a car dealership, How many times I've had actually opportunities when I said,
Mm.
can I just deal with somebody else because I don't, I don't buy because I don't like the vibe, the person. It happens even on the phone. So this is something we see on transactions on the day-to-day basis. But the person, the individual, that's something that is core value of anybody that can, yeah, and wants to be successful. If you
Well,
have too much attitude, yeah,
I think
go ahead.
the most interesting part is everyone has a hobby or a passion, and you see people who get in sales, and maybe they're in a certain type of sales because they feel like that's where the money is, and they go,
Mm.
okay, if I'm in tech sales, if I'm in cybersecurity sales, if I'm in, real estate sales, because real estate's so expensive. But what if you're not passionate about it? Then you're almost forced selling, right? Every business that I've been in, I love tennis. I told you before the call, I live in Florida because I could play tennis every single day outside. I love going to
Or
concerts. I'm going to a concert tomorrow. I love going to sporting events. I'll go to Heat games. I was at the World Baseball Classic. I go to Dolphins games being down here. I love Mediterranean food. I mean, I can eat Mediterranean food every single night. I work with falafeling. I mean, I've always believed in aligning myself with businesses that I actually care about because I'm selling, but I'm really believing the words that are coming out of my mouth. When I tell you that I truly believe tennis is the single best sport alive, and I can't even find you a close second one. I truly believe that. I'm not selling you anything. You're in New Jersey. I'm in Florida. I'm not selling you on a tennis lesson. I just truly believe that. You could tell by my voice. I think going to concerts, you go to a concert, if you sit in the very front row, it's the experience is going to blow your mind. And true story, a little sidetrack. I saw the same band. I saw them once in an OK seat and once in the front row. Same exact set, three times as good of experience. Go take a Netflix special, watch it online, go see that comedian live in person. You'll think they're three times as funny, and it could be the same exact set. I truly believe in the services that I'm selling. And a lot of people, they'll say, "Oh, I'm not a salesperson," but if you get them talking on a topic that they're interested in, then they suddenly become a good salesperson. So a lot of it is just finding what you're interested in and what you're actually passionate about. And I'm very fortunate. I've been very lucky that I've aligned myself in businesses that I care about. But maybe for someone listening who's either in sales or they think they're not good at sales, listen to this and say, what are you passionate about? Do you like food? Do you like sports? What do you like? And do you like clothing? Okay, you like clothing. Maybe you love yoga. Can you sell yoga mats? I do stretching here on my carpet. Maybe someone could sell me a better yoga mat if they told me the benefits. Maybe it's for my back or something. Then they can convince me to buy one. So I think, for people who, as I just said, are listening to this and maybe they feel like they're at a dead end or they think they're good at sales, but maybe they're not in the right position, really brainstorm about what you're passionate about and how can you get a position somewhere or start your own position, even if it's a small business, and sell something that you really care about.
well, Evan, you're touching on some real important piece in terms of sales and just making it right. You're right. I mean, first of all, if you like to do sales in general and you have that drive, that's a great. But I love what you said. If you're not passionate about what you do, you're not going to deliver. Your performance is going to be weak, and you're going to burn out quick, and you're going to hate your job, and you're going to hate yourself, and you're like, oh my god. And you also, touch on the idea that some people get into it almost by default because that's where I can make the money or the most money. Because yeah, sales is one function, one profession that you cannot really not lose in because it's performance driven. You're more
Yeah.
you can it's a number game. You definitely, as long as you're pitching, you're gonna sell. How good and how many sales you do gets better based on your expertise and stuff, but it only gets better if you really love what you do. But if you get into it just because that's the default, that's like, there's nothing available, let me just get into this role, and you're gonna do it for a few months, but that's not really where your heart is. Now you might have everything, but you're right, I don't believe in this damn product. Now
Well,
think about it. Yeah.
you see a lot of job postings, and they'll say, okay, if you're in X field, you'll make $60,000. But If you see them in sales, it'll say 40,000 to 200,000. And people might just see that super big number of 200,000 saying, wow, I can't make that at, a 60 or $70,000 salary. Let me take that position. And then you're at this position and you go, okay, well, I don't believe in what I'm selling. And then how long do you realize if you're not good at it and you're not passionate about it and you're giving a low monotone, you're giving speech like that, low monotone, low energy instead of high energy, something you care about, until you realize that you're out of that position. So, as you said, you really have to be passionate and care about, whether it's a product or a service, what you're selling.
Well, you're a perfect example. You're talking about tennis like it's the only thing that exists out there. There's no other thing, and you believe in that from your heart. And trust me, I talk about martial arts almost the same way. That's like that thing for me, right? And everybody's got something, in their stuff. I've been in insurance sales and health, and I believe in that stuff because I know we help people. I know we save people. And, as much as there's controversy about how the insurance companies and, there's cost, there's that, they don't approve things, but there's a lot more to that. And, I've been getting that from the beginning of times where I started in this industry where like, oh, this, but once you believe in it, you can explain what it means to people. You can really, and I can speak about it like happily. And there's no one that can actually stop me. And there's no one that can, tell me otherwise because I can convince you with facts, with everything. I can give you anything to prove to you because I believe in it. But if to your point, I'm not, listen, I mean, I also used to teach, real estate sales and I was a real estate, agent and I was an investor in real estate. And I can tell you, I taught thousands of real estate agents. And one thing I used to teach, although we taught law, but I always made the analogies what the law is and how it actually applies in real life. And I always tell them like, there's two salespeople that can walk into the same home, showing a home. And one will be like, this is the bedroom. This is the kitchen. This is a bathroom. I mean, everybody knows what a bathroom looks like, damn it. I mean, like, it has a bowl, it has a sink, right? But it's not. It's like everybody knows what a kitchen looks. But if I make you feel the experience that you're gonna have with your family cooking and stuff, imagine yourself fixing
And
dinners. I mean, you get into like a visual and you get excited about stuff that people are gonna love it. But if the person is so dull and monotonous and is like, okay, sure, thank you very much.
Well, I
They
think
just
here you're right because in business sales, right, you do have to make a living. So I can give you tennis lessons. Yes, you could also have someone throw you a ball or go hit against the wall, and yes, you can do that for free. I'm in the ticketing business, and yes, I'll come out head front. There are some negative aspects of the business, everything around Taylor Swift and inflated ticket prices, but I truly believe in the experiences that I sell. In the food business, it's the same thing. You go to a restaurant, you buy a hamburger for $20. Go to your local grocery store, hamburger maybe costs you $1, if that. But you're selling a service, and you buy a T-shirt, you buy a Lululemon shirt for $100, or you buy an expensive high-end luxury shirt. Shirt might cost them sub $10 to make, and you're paying sub 60, sub 70. Sorry, you're paying over 60, over $70. But it's sales, and it's still business, and that's just the end of it. But if you truly believe in what you're selling, you know that you're giving that person a better experience, and that person at the end of the day is happy to pay a premium. Why is someone happier to sit in the front row than the back row? Because it is a better show. Why is someone happier to buy a Lululemon shirt than maybe a shirt at their local discount store? Because it's better quality. They feel better when they work out in it. They look better. So yes, everyone has to make money on sales. Everyone in life has to make money to be able to afford the things and live, and so on and so forth. But if you believe in you believe in what you're selling, then all that really goes out the window.
Well, thank you. And again, you use the word experience, and really, that's what it is. It's all about like, what does that mean for you? How are you going to feel about yourself with this product or service? And if I can really believe in it, I will exchange that. You will see that. You will feel it. I will describe it in a way that you're, before you even get that thing, you're already looking forward to it. Like you're like, that's exactly what I want. And there's a way to get there too. I mean, But like you said, the first thing it starts like you can't get into a product or service that is not something that you can even vibe, that you or yourself will not even use. That's the other thing, right? If you really want to sell
Yeah.
something, if you're not gonna, it's not something you would usually buy, or you would really rather not, buy if you didn't have to, then that's not something you're gonna pitch. But if something I'm gonna use, I'm the first customer and I love it, I use it every day. Well, guess what? There is no one that can actually convince me otherwise. I will get you the experience. I will describe it in a way that you'd be like, wow, you're gonna get wowed out big time.
And it's funny because hey, there's this happened a couple days ago, real random, but there was an issue with our sink and the water coming out, and like this guy came over, and I'm not a very handy person, and this guy who was the plumber was so excited about different things that you could, and in my mind, like I didn't know you could be excited about doing things in a drain or different, clarity in water. But this guy obviously found his calling, and he charged more than every other plumber we looked at. But the guy was just so damn happy to be in our house and explaining everything that I said, okay, this is the guy we have to go with. Like I didn't even look at another person. So you find something, and if you're lucky, where it's a service where maybe other people, where the common person is not as familiar with it, or the average person is not as passionate about it. You know, my girlfriend's father, for example, is obsessed with details on cars. And we were detailing our car, and he was loving every single second of it. I was ready to stop 30 seconds in and go inside and watch football. But he's so passionate about it, and we were working on it. He did such a good job, and you find out where when it's something where you're passionate, your work is better. This he did an amazing job on this service where I probably would have done a tenth of as good of a job because I wouldn't have been as passionate about it as he was.
Thank you for sharing that, because here's the thing, like one of the common, I guess, objections against salespeople in general, like reputation of salespeople, is that they're so aggressive, they're just pushy people, and the reason that's happening is because there's a bunch of folks that get into the sales function and profession without the passion and the belief. And so what they do is they really just sell because they have no choice, no option. They push it, and it gives that experience that is negative about sales. But salespeople, the true salespeople, are not really selling anything. They're advisors. They actually highlight the values that are available to them. They love what they have, and they make you feel that whatever it is they're selling before you even have it, you actually so much want it that you're willing to pay the price, as you said. And that's really, people want the experience rather than just we can talk about like, well, the cost. Everybody's got to watch out for their pocket, but when you love something that much, you will actually pay the price. People
Well, I
will
think
wait.
there's two
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry to cut you off. I think there's two different types of sales. There's probably more, but I'll highlight two. There's purchases that you make that you're excited about, whether it's that fancy dinner, that nice new pair of shoes, for me, the new tennis racket. And then there's purchases where you unfortunately have to do, whether it's cleaning your gutter or fixing your sink, or buying a new water filter, or buying paper towel, like
By
things that
necessity.
just yeah, just you're doing them. And if you're in that sales position, you need to get in your client's head. If someone's buying a new car, especially a luxury car, you can't sound like a used car salesman. This is a purchase that, if it's a lease, it's every 3 years. If it's a purchase, it could be once every 6 years. They've waited multiple years to make this purchase. This is something they've been looking forward to. They block time off their calendar. They're ready to test drive. And you have to understand where that person's coming from and say, how can I make this the best experience? Or on the flip side, if you're just selling, like a paper towel, or you're selling something someone wants quick and done, then understand that too. Give them the quick pitch, show them the excitement, and tell them how efficient you'll be, and they'll be able to put this problem, or in their mind, their problem to the side, and you can move on to your next client. So you really need to understand not every product is the same, not every service is
Right.
the same. People are going to view it. You said you're in real estate. That's the biggest purchase anyone makes in their life, is their first house. You can't do that sale in 10 minutes. Some people, it might take a month to finally pull the trigger on dream home, and maybe they get it ripped under them. And, oh no, I can't buy one. So, and then then you have to go convince them. Oh, there's another house. Here's a better house. Here's a house where you can envision your family. So you need to understand the service that you're selling, and why is that person buying your service, and what are they trying to get out of it? If is it a lifelong experience, something they're going to talk about, or is it something boom quick on to the next one? And then once you understand that, you know, it will make a huge difference going forward.
It does. It does. And again, I mean, it's you nailed quite a few elements. I mean, these are all the factors. And you're right. I mean, if it's something that you need, you're gonna get no matter what, and you need to know what that is. And you're right. Something that is a life changing, opportunity or experience. That's a different pitch, and you can't fly by it. You have to do it correctly.
Mm.
But again, that's the point is that we're trying to make here is that the people that get into this profession that don't have the drive and the passion, they mix up these things and they don't do it correctly. But those that choose, and you're right, a salesperson here doing this product A may suck at A, but if they get into a product B that is really them, they're gonna be awesome about it. They're gonna be successful about it. So, but finding that not out of necessity or just pure because I have to pay the bills, you're doing it, and that's the other thing. Like, but that's also going for everything else, right? If we do what we love, we never work, right?
Exactly. I mean
Yeah, that's it.
that quote is dead on it, and you find yourself wanting to do work because you're trying to accomplish a goal, and you're trying to, if you really can relate to your client, then hopefully turns into maybe a friend down the line. You're trying to get them to hit that experience that you have, and you feel satisfied when you do it, and it's a high. You want it. If you sell a house, if you're in real estate and you see someone all settled into their house, you get the highest selling it. You want to sell another house. You want to sell the same house. You want to sell a bigger house. I feel that. I mean, I've been in the entertainment industry for over a decade, and to me, there's always new acts I want people to experience. There's always a new game. We're selling tickets right now for the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions haven't been in the playoffs since 1993. I mean, there's people in Detroit who I was born in 1993. They haven't seen a home playoff game since I was born. Yeah, and I'm a Giants fan. I go to Dolphins game, but I've experienced two Super Bowls in my lifetime, and you hope for people who are Detroit Lions fans. This is an experience, and
So
being there in person, and whether it's taking your kids or taking your parents, it's a once in a they may not be back for
lifetime.
another
Yeah,
30 years.
it's a one
It's a once in
lifetime.
a it's a
Yeah,
once
yeah.
in a lifetime. I don't want to degrade Lions fans saying they'll never be there again, but I'm joking. It'll be a once in a lifetime experience, and
Maybe
you know
not for
we
the
we
game for the
and we
players,
want to
but
be able to sell that. And it's everything. It's driving to the game. It's the tailgate. It's putting on your jersey, taking the family photos before you go. It's not just the game. We're selling. It's an experience that we're selling. It's the day. It's the week.
adventure.
It's the full thing. It's the driving. It's the high fiving the random person behind you after they score a touchdown.
The bonding.
The bonding, and
Yeah.
and this is more than just ticketing. It's if you're selling a product or a service, how do you make it so much more than that service? If I give a tennis lesson, how do I say, okay, that tennis lesson, if you can use that backhand into your next match, and then in your tie break at 5-all, you can hit a backhand that we worked on for a winner, and then you win the match. How can I equate that lesson to that feeling that you're going to get when you hit that victory shot? As you said in real estate, how do I equate that house sale to the first family dinner in the home, to the first time your kid maybe brings their spouse home to dinner, and the first Christmas or the first holiday in that home, the first big family Thanksgiving. How do you tie all these other events to what you're selling? And it's the high that you get, and it's what makes you want to keep going.
In your example, for example, the tennis, yeah, you're teaching them to do the back, you do all these tricks, but really, what you're getting them prepared for is that win that might get them to the starlight or the
Yes.
spotlight to become the next champions and to become the big league stuff, and so you tell them what that means to them, and now you're in a different lifestyle, and now that you're in the famous realm and so on, so there's a whole thing they can look forward to from that. But if you have nothing, it's just a back, strike, it's over, right? It stays there. But if there's more to it, you open their mind to a visual, and they wow, I can see myself doing that. That goes for acting. That goes for every single thing. I mean, everything is about that. And it's amazing because you said it. I mean, you're selling a game, which by the way, it's the Super Bowl. Everybody knows the Super Bowl. And you know what? Even if the teams come back, you as a person, are you going to be there? You might be in a different state. You might not be able to afford it. There's a lot of things. So you're selling the time, you're selling the place, you're selling the event, you're selling the experience, you're selling the whole entourage, the whole from A to Z, the whole thing. And that makes a difference. And you're not really selling it. You're explaining what that value to you is. The
Well, sometimes
memories.
you exactly, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. You don't equate that, right? If let's say you're buying a pair of shoes, someone sells you a pair of shoes. My sister really got into running, and her and I, both we were wearing the On Clouds, and we were able to take one pair of shoes, and now she's run half marathons and marathons. So you're taking that purchasing of shoes, something we bonded over. She tried it out. She really got into running. She said she used to run in pain. Now she doesn't run in pain. Now she runs half marathons and marathons. One shoe purchase, marathon runner, and years experience. Sometimes you don't even think of that thing, but you got to be able to, when you're selling, see the bigger picture. If you're selling, let's say you're in mergers and acquisitions, and you sell a business, or someone purchases a business, they now can set up a business, another business. So they take that business that they sold, and maybe they provide a beach house for their family, and they have family get-together. You're taking one moment and it's creating another moment. So all these different products or services that you're selling so much more than just that tiny good or that tiny service. You're selling experiences that can last years. Same thing with me in concerts. I remember when I went to go see Luke Bryan for the very first time. My friends convinced me to go, and it was at the very infancy of my business. I've now seen Luke Bryan over 10 times, and I saw Luke Bryan for the first time almost a decade ago. I've taken family, friends to see the shows. I mean, one experience, one sale has now left over a decade of long lasting memories for me. So when you really think about it that way, and sometimes it's hard in the moment. It's hard to say, okay, how, if on a Friday afternoon, how is this one sale, really important? Well, it is, because it can really lead to a lifetime of memories.
Well, it does, and again, it's amazing because it's the benefit, the value that really, and the long term value, not just the instant value. Because I mean, you could be something that I'm just a use of it, but like what it means in history in terms of like, because here's the thing: in time, all you have is those memories, and
Yeah.
some things that come in our lives make those memories, count. And I mean, look, Mastercard, right? They sell that card, but if you think about it, whatever they do, the advertising, it's priceless. But they show you
Yes.
a moment in life with someone, a loved one, a trip, and then it's Mastercard. It's really, and then it's priceless. They're selling you the emotions, and because that, like, wow, all right, yeah, this is gonna help, and subconsciously you're already like hooked. I want this because I'm gonna have that. And really, it's that kind of, I mean, again, we're talking about psychology. Sales is psychology 101. It's really getting people to deep dive into their own emotions and stuff and changing. And you're right, you might not do it if you are selling just basic elements, but you could, if someone says like, well, what do you think of this? Well, I can tell you, this is gonna make you look great. I mean, this is like high end. This is gonna make you feel like the stars, and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. Your self-esteem is different. The first thing that people look at is your shoe. you know,
I mean, it's exactly, and it's a different set of mind. You think of Mastercard, I mean, that's a perfect example. You think of Corona, they're just showing you a beach on every commercial. But even if, let's say you're a car mechanic, there's nothing worse than, or not, there's very few things worse than your car breaking down on the side of the road. But if you have a good mechanic who, with the first time you bring them, you bring them a car, they fix it in 24 hours and they give it back to you, and it's a very easy, seamless service. The next time your car's on, broken down on the side of the road, you're gonna feel a little bit of relief saying, okay, I know within 24 hours I have the person who can do this, who can fix it. So even if it doesn't seem like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm selling the priceless experience, I'm selling the big party, I'm selling the beach experience, you're still selling. If someone has a flood and you're the carpeting company who can come in and fix up the basement, and you give a fair price and you're on time and you give a good service. If you're the cable person who, when Netflix is down, you're in and you're able to fix it right away. Again, it might not seem that important on the surface, but the next time they have a flood, you're going to have such a more at ease customer because they'll know the person they can call. The next time their internet is down, right before they have their 7 p.m. podcast interview, they'll know who they can call at 10 to 7 to fix it, so they're on time live. So
That what you're saying right now is really the core here, because what you're saying is that no matter what it is, you can make a difference in somebody's life, and as long as you
exactly.
believe in that, you will make a difference. Your aim should be to make that life something that is like at least a satisfactory experience. At least, oh my God, you saved the day. You want to save everybody's day. Like, we have that expression. I used to tell this to my teams, like, you want to be the best thing that happened to these individuals on the day when they meet you. That's it. They meet you. There's nobody else that's better than you in that day or even in life, because you gotta meet them and help them to do better. And I used to say this to people in trainings all the time. I mean, I don't do as many now, but listen, you are helping yourself by helping others. And literally, if you're really focused on helping them, by default you're helping yourself. You don't even have to worry about you. You just do the deed, and the rest, the fruits are going to be there for you. And that's really what it is. And I think we've talked a lot about that piece of it, but I want to go to you as an entrepreneur, and as I mean, I definitely, you have the drive. You've been like, because you mentioned a couple of things. First of all, Ticket Insider. I mean, I get it. I mean, people know about Ticket Insider. I mean, I didn't think I would be talking to you, but but here we are, right? It's something that you know of, but in the odds of like sometimes talking to someone who actually had done something that people are using, they don't even know. So that's the thing. That was great, and you kept it going, and you're still doing it, and it's and evolved. Now I know it's difficult because there's a lot of nonsense that goes on in ticket sales, and there's a hype. You got to do it
it's been
correctly.
hard because with technology, as in every business, there's things that change over time, but there's also things that are constant. And it's how do you take the constants that which in our business are teams that perform at high levels, artists that people want to see, sunny Saturday nights. I mean, you got to put that in perspective. There's nothing better than a summer Saturday night when you don't have work the next day, holiday weekends. And then how do you adjust the variables, the different technology, maybe different ticket pricing, different promoters, raising and lowering their prices, and how do you adjust? So, with whether it's, ticketing, whether we're starting my own company or, joining with Key Investment Group now, it's how do you take the constants that and you've worked on for so long, and how do you use those against the different variables? And that's something that I've been working on, for 11 years. And there's people who have been in the industry longer, and technology has changed so much, and the views of ticketing and live entertainment ticketing have changed so much, and I'm sure they're going to continue to change. But there are certain things where I'm going to hold my beliefs and know what I really truly believe in this business, and what works, and what sells, and what people want to go to. And for as long as I'm in this entertainment business, I'm going to rely on those values and those beliefs. And whatever changes around me, I can't control that. I can only adapt. And I will do my best every day to make sure I do adapt.
Keyword adaptation here. You adapt to things. I mean, you're right. Everything is evolving, ever evolving, and to be in it, to win it, you got to continue adapting with the technology. You cannot be like, 10 years back in technology when you want to catch up here because you're going to be beat, right? So you
Yeah,
adapt.
we have people who we work with, and they talk about stories about going to their local record store, buying CDs. I don't even know if Best Buy still sells CDs anymore.
Tower
You have
Records.
yeah, you have people who, when they used to go, tickets would go on sale. You'd have to go there, and you'd go there, and the record stores would print the tickets, and you would wait in line early, and now you go on your computer, to buy tickets. So,
Oh,
and
just
that
drop an app.
yeah, you just download an app. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. And now, as I said, things are always going to be changing. I mean, think of 10 years ago, you had to go to the mall to buy clothes. Now there are clothing companies who don't even have physical storefronts. But what has been the constant over those 10 years? People want to wear people want to wear comfortable clothes. People want to, you know, uh, food, for example, another business. You had to go eat at a restaurant 15 years ago. Now you can click of a button in 45 minutes, have your food delivered right to your door. But what's been the constant? People want to eat French fries and burgers. That's the constant. People want to eat good food. And so while the making or where you source your food has to be the same, the technology has to adapt. And in 10 years, there's going to be different technology, and there's going to have to be more adaptations that you're going to have to make. And the people who are going to be the most successful or continue to be the most successful are the people who stay ahead of the trends and adapt, but also focus on the core competency of their business.
Oh, I love it because it's a true fact. Is like if you can adapt, you're not going to be able to survive. It's just And by the way, that's like that goes for life in general. I mean, you
Yes.
get a set of circumstances, you're gonna adapt to whatever those circumstances, and you got to find your way to maintain, to survive, to make it through. Now, if you can't keep up, obviously you drop, you fold, it's over. A good example. I mean, back in the days, for those that love to go to casinos and stuff. I mean, you had to go to physical casino, and there were only a few locations you can go to. Now you can just download the app and do your thing, on your computer or TV. So it changed, So things have obviously technology changed tremendous. I mean, we can just possibly imagine. I had a show yesterday. We talked about so much the AI and the technology and the way things are happening now. I mean, you and I, we probably don't even have to be on the show going forward. Maybe in the future, we just have our AI version doing this for us. Right? It will not be the same. I can tell you that much. My AI will never be me. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe some AI
Hopefully
technology.
you are. I like the conversation, and I like the
But you know what I
personality
mean.
of being 100%. You don't know, you don't know what the future holds. But when it's becoming relevant, or in an ideal world, 6 months before it becomes relevant, that's when you'll have to make that's when you'll have to make your changes.
Evan, here's the thing. One day, you and I we can be meeting together in a real life, studio, or we can be in a meta studio. You and I are sitting face to face, having I don't know, your favorite beverage, and you're sitting right across from me, and the audience can actually literally, chime in right from the world, into our, I guess, virtual studio. We're all together. Now that is not going to be the same as if we were in a physical studio where you can see us and we can wave and shake hands, but it will be a different experience. All we're saying is that if it has to happen and you want to be part of that level of life, then you're going to have to be part of it, and get into it, immerse yourself into it. So now you did the sales, you did all this stuff, and then you talked about falafel. I love falafel, by the way. So I don't think there's someone that doesn't love falafel out there, but I think it's pretty healthy food. I'm
I
not sure
mean, I
degree
mean, I've
depends.
always, I've always, I've always had the belief that Mediterranean food is the best food. It's my favorite tasting, and I feel great when I'm done eating it. So it's a double win. But getting into that business, I mean, the entertainment business was 2020, and COVID was not a good time for a lot of different businesses. Entertainment business was really hit hard, and unfortunately forgotten about by a lot of people. And looking back on it now, people's health was more important. And it's great to see that in the three, I guess now 2024, and the 3 years that have followed, COVID, that it's really made a full recovery. There have been certain businesses where it hasn't been the same pre-COVID as I'm sorry, post-COVID as pre-COVID. So looking back, I right now I at least feel fortunate that even though we had a year, a year where we couldn't really be in business, we're now as successful as ever. But I noticed in that time, I really wanted to align myself with, fast casual, quick service food businesses. That's my favorite way to eat personally. I don't love long, sit down, drawn out, overpriced dinners. I like quick, healthy. I like that topping and that topping and that topping and that topping. And let's all be quick and let me enjoy my food with the people I care about most. Uh, and at an affordable price. And Falafel Inc., was really a company that still does. They donate one meal for every meal served. They donate a meal to someone in need, which is an amazing cause to be behind. And being able to work in that business really taught me a lot about venture fundraising and different growth. A lot of my work has been in digital ticketing, so learning about building storefronts and how to do delivery. And in my business, delivery is instant. In the food business, every second is important. Cold falafel is not as good as hot falafel. Warm French fries, hot French fries, crispy French fries are much better than soggy French fries. So again, learning, how to cut down delivery times, how to open new locations, how to work with different venture capitalists and fundraise, and stick to your core beliefs versus what a venture capitalist would want you to do. And I was very honored to be able to be part of that business for a year. And I have nothing but respect for the owners, and really really learned a lot, and it helped the business grow. And you know they're still growing today, and put some really great systems in place there that I know that the owner are still running with to this day.
No, then you started your own. You're part of the. You said the investment now. The group that you with.
Yeah, so I've been with Key Investment Group since 2018. And uh it's been an amazing, 5-6 years that I've had with them. And just growing, and being able to expand our ticketing services, and helping provide jobs for people in the Baltimore and Florida area. We've been able to help a lot of fans experience, as I stated earlier, unforgettable, memorable, lifelong, lasting experiences. And being able to grow and work in the top events throughout the world, and helping people right out of college, and provide jobs for people. And you know entertainment and ticketing is not the most studied field in college, but it teaches you a lot of lessons about sales, and you really get to meet a lot of fascinating people doing it. So I'm still working there now. I love being there. I started in 2018, and I believe when I started we had 5 or 6 employees, and now we're at closer to 100 than we are to 50. So it's a great time to be there. The entertainment business has never been stronger. There are bigger and better acts coming out every single day. Music, whether it's through TikTok or YouTube, more artists are getting more recognition. In sporting events, more teams are making the playoffs. You have Copa America coming. You have the World Cup coming in 2026. You have the first Super Bowl in Las Vegas. You have the Oakland moving to Vegas. You have NBA in season tournament, Major League Baseball, 7 teams in the playoffs, football, 7 teams in the playoffs, NCAA moving to 12 teams. I mean, sports is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, more acts. It's an amazing time to be in the business. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be, where we are right now at Key Investment Group, expanding to global sales, and, being able to head that project up myself. We'd always been a domestic company, and now doing international sales, which is completely different than domestic sales, and much earlier mornings. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I truly do love it.
So let's talk about the role. I mean, you are the head of global sales right now, and that's a big venture on its own. I mean, now you're talking about this is beyond just the U.S. borders. I mean, everywhere. And you said it. It's a lot of early hours because you're talking to people that are probably in 9 hour difference or 10 hours difference or even more. I mean, I don't know. Australia is like
Yeah, I
13
mean,
hours.
we've been starting now at 3 or 4 in the morning, and having a dedicated team of people who are willing to get up that early. And at Key Investment Group, we all believe in the vision, we all believe in the goal, and that stems down from our leadership team and the people who I have over 20 people who work under me, and we believe in the goal, and that's getting up. And international is very different. People in the United States love American football. People internationally, not as much. People internationally love soccer. I mean, they love soccer.
They call it
People in
football
the
themselves. That's a
that's
big
yeah
debate.
that's their Super Bowl. The World Cup is bigger to them than their Super Bowl. In the U.S., we're growing, so it's really understanding who is popular in what markets. An artist announced is a European tour and a U.S. tour. Where should we make our investment? Where are they bigger? When's the last time they've been to Europe? When's the last time they've toured in the United States? How many shows are they playing? Are they, excuse me, are their ticket prices different in the United States than they are in Europe? Is it worth it on a staff perspective to say, okay, we want to get up and we want to work this event in Europe, but then we also have a big day in the United States. Okay, how am I going to prepare my day? How am I going to divide the people who work under me? If I have them at 3 in the morning, are they going to be or who's going to be as sharp at 3 in the afternoon? How do I divide people? Do you let people go into the office, or do people work from home so they can get that, quick nap and be as refocused and re-energized for later in the day? There's a lot of things that, even on just a pure ticketing and business perspective, that goes into it. Keeping people fresh, keeping people motivated. I mean, the majority of people do not want to start at 3 or 4 in the morning when it's pitch dark outside. And how do you convince people to buy into the goal? And it all stems down from leadership. If leadership believes in the goal, then it's easier for people who work with you in the company to start believing it, and then they get more confident. They become leaders themselves. And we've I've been the president of global sales now for roughly 5 months, and it's been a whirlwind of experience, and I've really learned a lot. Doing business with people who work internationally is completely different than people who work, who do business in the U.S. And some pros internationally, some pros in the U.S. Some things in the U.S. you can start it at 12 o'clock, and by 12:10, the business can be done. Some things internationally, they take a lot longer, but you really get to know the person you're working with. The vacation hours are different. In the U.S., if someone says they're on vacation, most of the time you can still send them a text. In you know
In
in
Europe,
Europe,
they're
in
off
Europe,
the
if you're
clock.
on vacation, you are on vacation. Again, pros and cons, depends how you look at it. And it's been an amazing learning experience. And I'm excited to, I now feel that what I've learned so far in this role, I can apply to anything. And most importantly, it allows me to come on this show and really speak from my experience, and for people in your audience who are maybe debating if they want to work internationally. You really learn a lot, and I really do recommend it.
I mean, what you're referring to is adaptability again, in terms of logistics and stuff, and adjusting and learning about how the other part of the world operates, and meeting that demand, and being able to make it work. I mean, again, you have again constantly evolving and learning different tricks, to continue to maintain, and everything. Now talking about Europe, you go to, I don't know, the Middle East, you go to Asia, you go to Australia, it's going to be even another, realm, different, thoughtful, and I love what you said. In Europe, vacation is taboo. You don't talk. They unionize for the most part. You do not talk to someone I'm off the clock. They go to lunch.
Yeah,
They're out of lunch. They're not going to respond to their phone when they're having a good meal during the day or they're having a siesta.
and it's
Sometimes.
different, and you have to know that, because you'll be viewed as disrespectful, and you may lose the business. And
Mhm.
while you've been trained, or not you, but, for people who have been trained, you stay on someone, which is right. You want to stay on people, but in a different country, if you maybe message someone too often while they're on vacation, you might
Aggressive.
be viewed as rude
Yeah. Yeah.
and too aggressive. So you need to understand the boundaries. You need to do research. You really need to understand in different countries how different businesses work, and as it all comes down to adapt to the way they work.
I
And
love it. I'll go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, adapt. If you adapt to the way that they work, and if you get up and are willing, and people will respect you. Like, I know when we get up early at 3 o'clock in the morning, we get a type of respect that says we're ready to work.
Oh no. Well, again, you're right, and but I love that too because you're logistically working the team into different things and making sure that there's an early shift team, there's a late team, there's a US team, there's that, and you select the people based on there, and the flexibility, even the thought that would they rather work at home and be more comfortable to deliver more, that's all adjusting to the times and the need, because there are companies that still live in the past, like you still got to go to the office and show up and this and that, the other. And the future company is already way gone. I mean, unlimited PTO. We just need performance. You get the job done. That's all I care, right? And adjustments to the new style, to the new wave, to the new way is a big deal. And again, you as a leader, you're seeing that. You talked about how the leadership vision, goes down to the team, and the team's got to buy into the vision. So if there is none of that that is exchanged to the team, and nothing works. Your whole success is not just about you; it's about everybody aligned together towards the same common goal, and you doing it. So that's actually powerful stuff. And again, anyone that's out there that either running a business or leading a team, you have to start really seeing these things for
Well, I
you.
think a
And
very powerful thing that I try to say to people who work for me, and I truly do mean it, especially when we were a key investment group and there was only 5 people, we used to do everything. And I tell people who work for me, there's nothing that I will ask someone to do that I have not done myself. And I think when people know that, and I've heard Dave Grutman say the same thing, that he was a dishwasher. So if his dishwasher thinks he's going to quit, he'll get back there and do it if he needs to. And it's a message that I learned him say that I've applied, and kind of shifted the quote to make it an Evan Samet original. But I won't ask anyone to do something that I've never done myself. And I feel that if people know that you're willing to do it, and they'll have the respect to say, okay, if he'll do it, I'll do it. If she'll do it, I'll do it. And it really does go a long way.
well, it does, and it's funny you said that because I actually apply the same concept. I mean, in my world, specifically, and I can talk about the media, but I'll talk about the insurance and my space for the last 30 years. I've done almost every role on the onset that actually I was able to lead in time, and from the entry point to the highest point, I've been there and I can do the functions. I know exactly what it entails, and I'm still constantly learning about it because you always have to be ahead and be able to do that. And you can also relate to these roles because that's the other thing. You know what it takes to do that, as
Yeah.
opposed to like hey, I want you to do this. Like, well, that's not. We can't do it. It's not how, what would you know, right? But if someone tells me that, I'm like, well, hold on, hold that thought. Let's talk, because I can do it, and probably even better. I don't know, but I want you to do it better than me. But the idea is that it's different if you know the work. Now, you don't always know everything. That's the other thing. We've been in some roles, but those roles evolve in time, and there's more stuff today. The idea is you get the right people in the right role as well. But it makes a difference. But that's the thing. Being a leader, you have to adjust, you have to adapt. There's coaching, there's training, there's mentoring also that takes place to get these people to really and the example you said, well, the dishwasher quits. Well, guess what? They might not even quit if the environment is righteous, right? If you
Yes.
really make it like they believe in that role and they know that as much as that role may be small, it is a big piece of the big puzzle. You miss that role, everything crumbles.
Well,
And
I
that's the
think,
thing as a team.
and I'm sorry to cut you up, but I've always viewed myself as a leader as almost the, American, you're innocent till proven guilty. If you're hired for a role, I believe that you will do your role to the
Mhm.
best of your ability, and I don't need to check in on you. And I always come in with that. That's my thought, and not let me micromanage you until I know that you're good enough. I look at it as, if you're on our pricing team, if you're on our delivery team, if you're customer service, I believe that you are going to do your job to the best of your ability, and until I have a reason to prove otherwise. And that's been a very successful leadership tactic to me. I believe it has allowed people who have worked under me to really respect me as a leader. And it's allowed me to, in my own business to rise up, and in this business to get a promotion, and keep growing personally, and hit new sales numbers. And especially as Key Invest Group, as we expand our business internationally, there's less that I'm able to oversee. Sometimes my focuses are elsewhere, and I need to rely on the people who work for me to do it. And a part of being a good salesperson is, being able to hire great, especially if you're going to work for a big company. And at Key Invest Group, we have amazing people up and down who work for us. And as a leader, less about sales, more about leadership. But as a leader, I have full trust in the people who work for me to be able to accomplish everything that they say, and they've done so far, and it's allowed us to just keep growing. And it's allowed everyone to expand their roles and help me learn so much.
I love what you said. I mean, the micromanaging concept is an old school concept that barely works. I mean, it used to be the way. That's like, it cannot work today in any way, fashion. At least that's in my opinion. What it is I love what you said, is that you are great. You're hired in the role. That means you're already, the fact that you're hired, we know that you can do the job. Now, the question, we believe in you unless you tell us that you're not the right candidate. And that's a different story. But basically, you're good until you tell us that you're not good, or show us you're not good.
Yes.
Which in most of the time is not going to happen. So, and if it does happen, you were not the one that's just like pushing the buttons for no reason. The person has to give you a reason why they may
And
not
yes, and
belong.
you'll be able to tell right away, because that person might not want to be there, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they'll make excuses of not coming in, or they'll see why. You'll be able to tell that right away. But for the people who want to be there, they'll be so happy. And if you're a leader and they believe in you, and they buy into the mission, then everything's going to go according to plan.
Well, you also said you need to know how to attract the right talent and hire the right talent, and that's the other thing. I mean, you don't have to do the extra work later on. If you do the right work up front, you won't have to worry about that, and you'll have the right people on the bus or the train. So that makes a whole different story. So Evan, quick question. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur, you've been a leader. What would you give as advice to younger, upcoming entrepreneurs, or like just new leaders? What would be some of the advice you would share with them today?
I think the first piece of advice that I would give is, find your passion early. And when you're younger, take chances on finding something. A lot of people I hear, even throughout school, oh, this isn't, why am I taking this? I'm not studying this. I don't believe in this. But you know what? Just, open your eyes. Have curiosity while you're young. I never would have thought I would have ended up in the ticketing and entertainment space. I didn't know anything about it in high school, but luckily I found it in college, and it's been a blessing to me. I didn't know anything about the food space, and luckily I found myself in that space. So, really open your eyes. If you're young, research different professions. If you can take, when you're in high school or middle school, if you can just take, you know, even entry level positions, just to see if something piques your interest. You never know what that entry level position is going to lead to. So, you know, be curious, take chances on stuff, especially when you're younger, because if it doesn't work, you'll be able to tell quickly and move on to something else. But you never know what's going to spark your interest.
And that's right. And in life, you will be going through different changes. I mean, again, I've done many things, in parallel, and I still do different things, and you'll find different things that, but they're all tied around my personality and what I'm really enjoying. So you'll find that. But I love that advice that find your passion, discover things, be adventurous, and test things out. I mean, it's like food, right? If you don't taste it, you're
Yeah,
never gonna know how good it is. Or if it's bad, you're gonna test it, but whatever. But you might be surprised what the taste is, right? And then you're like, oh my god, I love this
agreed.
thing.
And you hear stories, and you hear people who say, "Oh, when I was 5 years old, I discovered this, and I knew I wanted to be this for the rest of my life." And that's great. That's the dream. But there's maybe 1% of people who are like that.
That is
For
right.
other people, you try something, and I bet you if you ask a lot of people the careers that they're in now, or, they maybe didn't know it at a young age. So, when you're younger, try things out. Even if you're older and someone asks you to go to something, or if it's a hobby, give it a whirl. You never know what's gonna spark your interest.
I can tell you, Evan, when I get a lot of solicitations left and right about opportunities, I don't turn opportunities down. Tell me about it. Tell me more. I've
Yeah,
learned about it. I see it. I don't see myself into it. But I don't just close the door before knowing what's in it. Maybe there is an opportunity. Once I discover it, and if it's not aligned, then what's the big deal? You didn't lose anything. Actually, what you learned is what it is, what it does, how it works. So you learned a few tricks you might even apply in your life. It's always win-win. But
research, and we always say too, research is free. And and when we look at it too, like someone will say, "Who's this artist?" I don't know this artist, dude. Do you think this game? What did this game do last year? Research it. It's free. Look it. If someone presents you with an opportunity or sends you something, look at it. You never know what's going to spark your interest. And if all you lose is a little bit of time, that's okay.
true story. When I talked to you about the school, right, the real estate. So we actually went to that school to get our license, my partner and I, and we got our license. And then one day we had a business, and one of the components was real estate. So we were looking for space. We had our own, but wanted a location. So I was like, okay, why don't we go to that school that we actually took the class a few years back and see if they can give us hourly, time. So we go there, and as the discussion, I said, hey, well, maybe we can become partners. And the guy said, yes, you can become partners. And we actually became partners, in the school. And eventually he retired and we took over the business. So, I mean, it's that simple, folks. You never ask the question, you would never know what door is going to open and what's behind that door. It's like amazing. It's like deal or no deal, whatever those things,
Yeah,
but
I mean, you never know what's going to be in you never know what's going to be in the briefcase. And my thing too, when I was 15, my dad took me to my first ever concert, and it opened my eyes. And then 19, someone asked me to go to an electronic house music show, and I didn't even really know what it was, but I went. And those two events changed my life forever, and I'll be eternally grateful that I went to both of those shows. And it would have been easier to say no. They were both during the week. Could have easily said no. Something could have happened, but I took the chance at that opportunity, and as I just said, I'm forever grateful.
well, Evan, I know we've exceeded the hour. Well, first of all, thank you. But I wanted to just ask you, like, I know, we talked about all the stuff that can happen, but I'm sure things sometimes get bumpy. Now we kind of you covered around, let's say the pandemic time. But what would you tell people that try to find reasons why things may not work and objections on their own? What would you tell people? Like, if this is not an easy task, right? Being in business is not easy. No, nothing is easy. What advice would you tell people, to stop thinking that things are not going to work or think bad about things? What would be that advice?
You have to stay resilient, and it's easy to get down on yourself, especially when people, whether you're in sales and you have a couple calls and people haven't gotten back to you. But remember why you're chasing your goal. Always come back to that. No matter what it is, remember why you started. Remember the goal you're chasing. And when you're down on something, just remember that. Remember why you started, and remember what you're trying to accomplish. And someone doesn't respond, someone says no, just a little bump in the road. Just keep going. Failure is only failure when you quit. And if you keep going, you'll eventually accomplish what you want to.
Listen, folks, I mean, it's golden advice. You take it to the bank. It's real stuff. It works. I can tell you it works. Evan can tell you it works. And if you hear anybody that's been in business, in a success story out there, you will hear the same concept. They never give up. They don't fail because they don't give up. They just keep at it. Objections, hurdles, barriers, whatever you want to call them, they're gonna come through. There's nothing that's gonna be so smooth and it's like, oh, it's easy. You're gonna have to deal with different things, changes, that, the other. The key here is if you really believe in it, to your point, Evan, know why you were doing it in the first place. The rest is history. So that's about it. Well, listen, Evan, we're exceeded our hour, and it's been great. I enjoyed this exchange and the discussion. Um, so that's it. Any last words before we close?
No, I thank you for having me. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can always send me an email. My email is EVAN, my last name SAMET 811 at gmail.com. Anyone who has any questions or comments, please feel free to send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And that's all I got.
Oh, you're on LinkedIn. So people can also
Yes,
connect with you
you
there.
can also message me on LinkedIn or connect with me. It's just my first name, EVAN, my last name, SAMET. And if you want to reach out to me via LinkedIn, you want to reach out to me via email. Uh, However, I'd love to hear from anyone who has any questions, comments. I'd be happy to hear from you.
And if you want tickets, we can still do that through you, right?
You can always come to me. You can always come to me for tickets too.
All
Always.
right. Well, I mean, sometimes people want to get the ins of what's happening and get some good spot because sometimes you can't even find tickets, right? I mean, it's very
Yeah, I
difficult,
mean
even though.
it's hard. You have to stay ahead, and you have to know what you want early, because when if you realize you want it too late, then everyone else has gotten it, and it's sold out.
Listen, you got an in, folks. If you want your stuff is secure, you know where to go now. So that's about it. Evan, thank you so much for being with us, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Nah, no worries, man. Well, folks, there you have it. We had some fun. We've learned quite a bit. And now, if you like entertainment or football or any sports and in Europe, everywhere, whatever they are, Evan can make a difference there. So, I'm American Age. Hope you enjoyed this episode of, our shows here. And we'll be talking soon. New day, new show and topic. Bye for now.